Exactly. I'm not, and I promise you, I will promise you, I will promise you that it's not going to be a debate. Absolutely. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to start. Are you okay?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So, alhamdulillah, I'm visiting from Canada, Hyde Park. My name is Baz. I didn't get your first name is fine. Martin and
Carl.
Martin and Carl. So we're joined by our friends Martin and Carl. And look, I just want to say this is one of my first times in Speaker's Corner giving, having a friendly conversation, what we call Dawah. So we're trying to break down misconceptions about Islam and Muslims from the media. We're trying to also build bridges and learn from each other. And more importantly, we want to call people to invite them to learn about Islam, right? That's one of our end goals. With that being said, if I make any mistakes, Brother Hashim is going to be here to correct me, inshallah. But so Martin and
Carl.
Martin and Carl. So first of all, why do you guys come here? I just want to know. I'm gonna do Canadian Dawah, okay? So it's gonna be a little bit softer, inshallah. Okay, a little slow down. But what brought you guys to the park?
Well, I come down here. I'm an atheist, but I like to come down here and sort of challenge the. It's normally the Christians because I come from more of a Christian background, but I come down here as just my protest against those guys to try and be friendly and stuff and represent atheism in a nice way.
Okay, interesting.
I know Carl was interested in this stuff, so I was like, Carl's got to come down here and experience Speaker's Corner. So
right,
Martin was what got me to come here in the first place.
I see. Okay.
This is like only my second time.
Second time. Wow. Yeah. Well, I hope it's a positive experience. I think most people are friendly here, from what I've seen. Although I think what goes viral on YouTube is the controversial discussions, right?
I think anything that's controversial is going to gain more attraction because again, it's controversial. It's,
right. Yes.
Attention drawing.
That's how marketing works. Yeah. But I will ask you, and feel free, honestly, to interrupt me. I want this to be as much of a discussion as it is, if anything, right? I'd like to know, and you're welcome to ask me, I'll share with you, what brought you to your journey about your current beliefs, right? And feel free to be candid. How did you arrive at your current beliefs right now?
Well, I grew up going to church, just the usual Bible Christian church. Then I kind of grew out of that, and it didn't connect with me, and there was stuff they couldn't answer. And then I sort of like started to know what atheism was, and I realised I'm actually atheist. I don't really believe any of this. And then I wanted to be more proactive in being against what the churches or what religions preach to people and what they do to people. So this is my peaceful protest. It's my way of trying to counter what they do.
Understand. I
I
understand. No, that makes. I understand it. Yourself, did you want to?
A similar background from Martin, and I also went to Catholic school growing up.
Yeah.
And upon learning about sort of different religions, again, there's always that question: why? What's the meaning of life? And I think now we've become more globalized, so there's more of a intertwine of different religious faiths, especially say here in London. It's a very diverse city, even in a religious basis. And I've just looked at other religions, and they seem to provide different answers. These religions claim to be the one true belief. You believe in this religion, this and this will happen.
Yeah.
And so I've always just found myself questioning it, and even studying at school, Christianity, I think people just interpret religion differently, and this is why you have different denominations of Christianity. You've got Protestantism, Catholicism, Methodism. So I just think a lot of it's just based on interpretation. And so as I've gotten older and I've looked into more stuff and I've looked into philosophy, I think I've just slowly deviated away from mainstream religion.
Have you? So would you say both of your beliefs are fairly similar? You're both classify yourself as atheists?
I would say agnostic atheist.
Yeah. Again, we're open to religion.
Yeah.
I'm open to the idea that there is a God.
Yeah.
But until someone can demonstrate to me with good evidence and reason and logic and all those really good things, same way you believe anything else in life.
Right.
Until they can do that, I've got no reason to believe it.
I think in life, it's just good to have an open mind about new ideas, and I think that's why it's good that we have events like this, because it's a public discussion of different ideas and beliefs. So I think that's why Speakers Corner and like other sort of communities that have these get-togethers are so important because it's very important that we're not stuck in that echo chamber. I think with social media now becoming more prevalent in our lives, I think it's caused a massive echo chamber issue where stuff like religion and politics and just general discussion has become very polarizing and tribal because they will only listen to one side of the argument. And I think that you can't be informed unless you listen to both sides and then come to your own conclusion. Again, it's that whole thing.
Sorry, my freezing cold.
It's that whole idea of just like thinking for yourself. Like, don't listen to groupthink, weigh up the arguments, the pros and cons, and then just come to your own conclusion based on the facts of like what each side's trying to present. And I think that's very important. But then because people with the whole echo chamber thing, they're only subscribing to like, pages or news articles that reaffirm their beliefs. I feel like in a way it's just led to people becoming more tribal.
Okay.
Like being stuck on their side and then just not listening to like any other like sides that sort of contradict their viewpoints.
Right. Fantastic. No, thank you so much. And Carl and Martin. Right. Yeah. I really appreciate that explanation, and I'm gonna maybe even add to what you're saying maybe feel free to weigh in here.
Yeah.
You started with the term like atheist, which I thought was interesting because I was just speaking to another atheist the other day. But I realized after a discussion, they're closer to agnostic and more open-minded than I thought. Because when we think of atheists, we think of somebody who's has positive evidence and claiming that there is no higher power, no God, nothing to no unseen to believe in, right? And I think what I like about what you said so far, actually, to build some common ground, is that you're saying you're open-minded, you're open to challenging your own beliefs, which is nice. In terms of your journey of how to get there, you said that you felt like the church couldn't answer your questions, and I think you felt like there was too much of groupthink. Is that?
I feel like there's too many like different sort of groups trying to provide the same answer, so it's hard to decide sort of which, say, one group to subscribe to, because again, like they're all conflicting in their own ways. So it's just the choice. I think as we've become more globalized as a society, we're exposed to different religions now. So like I think people are less sure, whereas back when societies were more sort of Catholic, over here we've got like the Jewish mob. Like I think now people are just a bit more unsure. Again, people are more agnostic now. I think at the same time, it's just good to approach something with an open mind, because if it challenges your views, it could change your opinion, and then you change as a person. And I think it's very important to be open to new ideas.
So, how much do you both know about Islam? Just out of curiosity, from a scale of 1 to 10.
So I would say,
I assume you've done more research. If I can make that assumption, you've probably done more research. Have you interacted with Muslims at all in the past and gone into a theological discussion at all?
I'd say Martin's like more...
See, I grew up in like the religion that I was brought up in was Christianity, so I'm more familiar with that. Obviously, you grow up there, and you're more familiar with that. Then once I step into atheism, then I listen to the Atheist Experience, which is from Austin, Texas.
Okay,
really
I've heard about it.
I absolutely recommend everyone watch it.
I've heard about it, yeah.
And they have a guy that's kind of talking from the Islamic background rather than just Christianity. So I'm learning stuff from there. When people call in, they talk about blah blah, goes back and forth. So I'm catching up with some of that. I've got a Quran at home.
Okay.
And I try and talk to, like, when they have a stand on the high street and they hand out Qurans.
Which street?
Sutton High Street.
Sutton High Street, okay.
So I'll go up and talk to them, and it's a different conversation than when I get the hellfire Christian ones that want to shout down at people.
That's a
With
positive
those
note.
ones, I have to shout back, and I have to try and stand my ground. The thing I've got to say about Islam is I've never had a Muslim person in the high street shout their religion.
Oh, that's great.
I've never
positive.
experienced.
Yeah, that's good to know.
I've experienced people with a stand saying free Quran, leaflets, come up and talk if you want.
Yeah.
If you don't want to, we'll buy it. And that's cool. And so, if I weigh the two up, we've got to see one thing about Islam and how they try to draw people in. It's way more peaceful.
Whereas I feel like sort of the more Christian perspective, they're more aggressive. Like it's like sometimes they can be like they also have like they'll have like microphones and massive speakers, and then they'll be giving like this sermon in the high street, and then like most people I just think like being aggressive sometimes isn't like the best
Yeah.
approach, because if you like force
Yeah.
like new ideas upon other people, then they're less likely to be opening to listening to them.
Yeah.
They're being forced. Like,
Allow a person to
to
digest.
actually, like want to join in on the conversation. If they don't feel
Yeah.
comfortable with the whole thing, then like don't force it upon them, because they're less likely to take your argument seriously.
Yeah. You mentioned a few things. I do want to mention a few things. I might even bring in my friend Raihan if he's open to it. But basically, how much of the Quran have you read so far? How much have you?
See, this is why I say I'm not equipped to do a big.
You
heavy
can just
debate,
be.
because-
No. I'm not. It's not a debatable
I know,
argument.
that's
I'm
what
just.
we're not going to start like,
Yeah.
going over each verse.
Yeah. No, but
picking it
have you
apart.
said half, a
The
quarter, or
interpretation.
one chapter, or one couple pages?
Little bits and pieces.
Okay,
Like
okay.
I've sort of looked at it and gone, read that under, like randomly pick things. Don't set out with an agenda.
Yeah.
I'm going to find the wrong things.
Yeah.
I'm going to find the nice things. I'm just going to look at it with an open mind, like I read any other book, and just read bits and go, oh, what
Yeah.
do I think of that? And I could open the Bible.
Right.
I know where the bad shit is in the Bible. And I could look at random bits in that, but then I've also got a Satanic Bible, and I can read bits in that. And I've also got books about Greek mythology in it. So
Yeah.
I'm in no way an expert on Islam, or I don't know the
appreciate that.
Quran. Like I can find my way around the Bible as much, or
No, I appreciate that.
but
Yeah.
in terms of being open-minded and being honest about looking at different religions, then I have to have a Quran and need a Bible and all these different books in order for me to
Yeah.
keep studying.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think a lot of religion also.
Have you read the Quran yourself? Or?
No, but actually the first time I came here, I
Yeah.
was speaking to a guy and he did give me a copy of a Quran.
Yeah.
I still have it. I've yet
Wow.
to read it. though.
Wow. Okay. So
Again,
on that note, because listen, I guess my goal is that these Hyde Park videos are usually like 40 minutes to 2 hours long. I just want to do short and sweet, and maybe even leave you with some food for thought, right?
Yeah.
Because I think look, it seems to me you're both very intellectual, very smart, intelligent, and you're able to do you're able to at least get the research part done by yourself. It seems that way.
Yeah.
I would just add, number one, when you get a chance, go home and read the beginning part of the Quran. So that's the first 2 or 3 pages. Surah Al-Fatiha, Surah Baqarah. You don't need to remember the Arabic names, but it's just basically known as the opening. Okay, and from there on, just the first few pages. A lot of people have said it's very powerful, it's very impactful. Surah Baqarah, or the second chapter of the Quran, has been described as a summary of the entire Quran.
Yeah.
Right. So that's one thing I would do. The other thing is continue with the research as you're already doing. Have you ever tried prayer? What is your concept on prayer at the moment? Like you said,
I don't think prayer works.
you said you're open to a higher power, but have you tried prayer before?
Prayer works.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'd done it when I was at church. We
Yeah.
sat in a little circle and do
Perhaps
this.
if you could explain to me what is the Quran?
Yeah.
What's the purpose of the Quran?
The Quran.
What's the context?
Yeah.
So, like for example, you have like synopsis, right?
Yeah.
You have like a summary of the Quran. Just present that. Just give them a bit of a taster of what they expect.
Okay, yeah, for sure. I think why the Quran is, as Brother Raihan mentioned, is a good point. Why is it very powerful? We believe it's preserved, right? This is one of the first points. So you'll get a very if you read the entire Quran, one of the takeaways you should come out with is, number one, there's only one God. So the message of Tawheed is throughout the Quran, right? Whereas, and I'm not trying to belittle our Christian friends, but try to find the Trinity in the Bible, trying to find the claim of that Jesus is God in the Bible. It's not as easy as one might think, but the belief, the fundamental belief of Tawheed and Allah is one is rampant throughout the Quran, right? Number two, and the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the messenger of God. You'll find that there as well easily. Number two, you'll also find lessons from the previous nations and civilizations, and what we can learn from those things when it comes to arrogance, when it comes to humility, when it comes to worshiping God alone, when it comes to, as you said, not doing groupthink, not just following our desires, and you'll also find a little bit of rulings, ahkam, right? So those are the 3 takeaways you might come up with. And again, we believe the Quran is. So it's not just we believe the Quran is preserved. Yeah. The way it was recited to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the way it was recited today, because it was memorized. So I'll give you this is an example that a lot of people give here in the park. If we took all the printed Qurans in the world and just like threw them in the ocean, we'd be able to bring it back just because of people have memorized it. I'm sure there's people who have memorized the entire Quran here. I've memorized a very small part of it, like 1/30 or 2/30 of it. But there's probably people here who have actually memorized the entire Quran. So that's one of the amazing things about it, is its preservation. Because if you don't have a preserved book, then there goes your creed and your theology. I'll end with dua, the concept of dua, because here's the thing. This is what we believe. We don't even believe that this meeting is by chance. We don't believe. We don't even believe that like everything happens for a reason. I know that you're not opposed to the concept of prayer, higher power, right? Skeptical, right? But look, I've said to people, like, if you're sitting by yourself in your room, and you just ask, oh God, if you're there, guide me. Oh God, if you're there, guide me to the truth, and you do it sincerely. And it's not. I mean, let me just say, even, and we're all guilty of this. Sometimes we all pray when life gets difficult.
Yeah.
Right. Someone dies, or we're in a difficult situation, and that happens. We turn to something. We all turn to something.
That like you're searching for hope.
Yeah.
So then, in a way, sometimes people turn to prayer as a form of hope, like that's a last resort.
Yeah.
Something like bad happening in your life. Like
Yeah.
Say someone's dying, or something like that, or you're just on hard times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Muslims pray daily. We say Ihdina Siratal Mustaqim, which means guide us to the straight path daily, on a daily basis, regularly. So before people came here, they prayed. Tonight we will also do a prayer as well too, whether by ourselves or in a group. And in that prayer we say, oh God, guide us to the straight path. The concept of dua, I always whenever I talk to atheists or Christians, because I think this is something we can kind of all agree upon. I understand in your scenario it's going to be like, okay, well, is there a God that I need to pray to? I want to actually maybe touch upon that and maybe scientism, philosophy of science,
It's about, does a God exist? Can someone demonstrate? But if it's like, okay, here's the evidence that God, definitely your God, definitely, because obviously there's lots of different gods. Your God exists. All the others are wrong. You got the right one. There's the other point of.
Well, we would say
we
don't have our own God.
I don't have to follow that God.
I'm so sorry to interrupt you because we don't have our own God. Remember, Muslims don't believe that we have our own God, but
I mean, your deity or
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala,
what you're following. It's the head of, you know what I mean.
Yeah, I apologize
you know what I mean?
I apologize for interrupting you.
It's all right, man.
Yeah,
Correct me if I get something wrong,
but
right?
I'll say, like, okay, I think the point, just to hinge on that a little bit, the fact that you said you're open to a higher power, you're open to creator, right? So there's a couple of books that one could read. Brother Raihan, feel free to recommend any books. There's a brother here, he comes to the park sometimes, his name is Sabur Ahmed. He has a YouTube channel called Darwinian Delusions. His friend also wrote a book called The Divine Reality. It's a book particularly for atheists. So it's by Hamza Zorsis, he's a Greek convert to Islam. These gentlemen particularly wrote books particularly for atheism. And the reason why they did that is after their study of something called the philosophy of science. It's something I came to learn about recently myself. That you know how a lot of people say I believe in science.
Yeah.
I don't believe in religion. I believe in science.
It's almost a way of like downplaying religion because there's the whole empirical like aspects of it.
Yeah.
There's data to prove because again in science, an experiment goes through a process of review and scrutiny.
Yeah.
So then like those checks like that are in balance to make sure that the data is accurate. So like I think it's a way that like sort of the more sort of extreme believers of atheism where they sort of downplay religion and again have like this very sort of closed-minded approach to it.
Yeah, lovely point. The reason why is because what Sabur and others have brought to light is what atheists themselves say, or agnostic scientists themselves say, that science can't prove or disprove God. They were going into some of the assumptions behind some scientific theories, how some scientific theories have changed. Now, by the way, this is not to belittle science. Science is beautiful. One of the most famous scientists, Ibn Haytham, was Muslim, right? Who brought a lot of the technology inventions that we see today. Some of the inventions were based on some of the works that he did. But my point here is that science.
The scientific method.
Yeah, it's not beautiful. Ibn Haytham founded the scientific method. So the point here is not science is not the end all be all. I think atheists have evolved actually. Is that what I would say? They're actually, I'd say, closer to agnostics You know, and being open-minded. I've met very few, after deep discussions, I've met very few hard atheists where they were like, no, I can't believe in anything unseen, because that puts into doubt a lot of other things that we do on a day-to-day basis, whether it's love or other emotions and behaviors. But yeah, that's really what I'll leave with is the concept of prayer. I think, unless Raihan had anything else to say, that was
It was a great discussion.
that was the last, yeah.
I think it was a great discussion
Okay.
between the three of you.
Yeah.
And
Please.
it's basically, you know, you have a mutual respect to each other. But what I'll just add one more thing, which is I think it's based upon the natural inclination
Yeah.
to state that there is somebody above you. There is someone above you. I think that's the natural inclination that everyone's born with, right? So I would say that, look, who do we believe as Allah? Who is Allah? Who do we believe Allah? Allah is our Lord who nurtured us, who created us, who gave us a purpose in life. And he also takes care of the universe, yeah, through his countless blessings and favors, right? So we worship Allah only to him. Why? Because he created us, right? So logically speaking, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if Almighty God is the only one who created us, then logically speaking we should worship him, correct? So we don't associate any partners with him. We don't worship the creation, rather we worship the creator, right? So what are the signs of his existence? The signs of existence is around you. You see the order of the night and the day, you look at the creation of the heavens and the earth, right? And the alternation of the night and the day. These are all signs of his existence. If I was to ask you a very simple example, you know, if I present you a Samsung phone, a Samsung phone, it depicts, it testifies to the evidence that there is a designer, correct? That there's a creator. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because look, from your natural inclination, you will not say that this phone came from nothing. You will not say that this phone always existed, correct? You know that there's an origin behind this phone. Why? Because you look at the features of the phone, you look at the applications, you look at the software, it depicts that there is a designer. Even though you haven't seen the designer, but you know for sure that there is someone who is intelligent, who has the knowledge, the power and the intent to bring this phone into existence, correct? So if you allow me to call the human beings as machine, then we're far more complex than this simple phone which is a machine. So what about the creation of the heavens and the earth? The creation of the human beings from a drop of water. This cannot come from blind matter, it cannot come from randomness. So these are the signs of his existence. Just because you haven't seen God, you haven't seen Allah, that does not mean he doesn't exist. You understand? But from your natural inclination, you know that, look, this universe didn't always exist. If I was to ask you, this tree right behind you, did this tree has a beginning, or did it always exist? Your natural inclination would tell you no. There is a purpose behind this tree. There's an origin behind that tree. And you know, there's a studies that's been done by Professor Justin Barrett from Oxford University. And he stated that when kids, and by the way, the kids who are in, like, by the time they reach the age of 3, and we're talking about kids who are brought up in a non-religious parents. So non-religious parents, they don't really value God or anything like that. But kids, when they're brought up, even in a non-religious environment, they start questioning themselves that, look, why does the tree exist? Why does the mountains exist? Why do the rivers exist, right? So therefore they say, what about our existence? Why do we exist? So by the time they reach the age of 4, they recognize there's a higher power. Whether that's in, whether they say it's Jesus, whether they say it's God, you see in every literature, every civilization, they always have, you know, the concept of a higher power, right? So this is well ingrained, is well rooted into your human nature, that there is the creator, right? So the creator, based upon his wisdom, he sent us guidance. For example, the mobile phone, the Samsung phone. The one who created the Samsung phone, would he not give you the guidance, instruction? How should we use the Samsung phone, correct? Let's say, for example, if there's a water that spills into the Samsung phone, where would you seek? You seek for guidance. Why? Because you don't have the knowledge. But the one who created the phone knows what's good and bad for the phone. What about